Welcome to this Q&A session. It's an interesting one we have today, but before we go into that, let me take a minute or a second to introduce us. Again, it's Paul and Joan from Premier Destiny. We are about helping business owners and professionals go from where they are currently to where they would love to be. Okay. And we do that because we believe that the universe is abundant, that you can have whatever you desire. You just have to follow some time tested principles to make sure you achieve your goals or your dreams. So we get these questions from our viewers like you or just anyone who wants to know a little bit more to help them in their personal development journey, success and prosperity journey. And today's question is from Sharon. Sharon is from Reno, Nevada. And she just poured her heart out, right? She said, let me read this. Let me read this. Where is it here? Okay, she said, I'm a mother, a very busy professional who has other outside aspirations, but there doesn't seem to be enough time in the day. Any suggestions on how to improve my situation? I can relate with that so much. And I think so many other mothers out there and some men, right, can relate to that. But before we look at Sharon's question, let me ask you this question. Do you ever feel like there's not enough time in the day to chase your dreams? You're trying to, like in Sharon's case, she's trying to balance motherhood, her career, maybe she has a full-time job, but she has this dream in her mind, in her head, that she really wants to uh, um, manifest. She wants to realize, right? But she doesn't have enough time. I was there. I was there.
I was there too.
I can say that 100%. I remember, just standing in the kitchen with the kids running around using the pans and the wooden spoon as their drums and all of that, making all the noise. I had to go to work. But at the back of my mind, I had this big dream to do so much more, right? And I just was like, how do I do this? How do I juggle, taking care of little kids? At one point, there were three of them under seven, starting a new business, right? Having a full-time job. How did I go through all of that? So we're going to share with you some tips, some strategies that will help you, Sharon, especially. Hope you're listening here, and anyone who has joined us today, to go from juggling all those responsibilities and still pursuing and achieving, not just pursuing, but achieving your dreams, right? Those goals.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
That's right. You know, at that time, it suddenly hit me, right? That this is life. This is part of life. It wasn't, life wasn't just going to magically slow down for me to achieve my dreams. No, it wasn't just going to make room for my dreams or my aspirations, because as we all know, we have 24 hours in a day. It was now up to me. If I wanted something more, I had to create space for it. I just had to create space for it in the middle of all the other stuff that I had to do. Okay. So if this sounds familiar, I really want you to stay tuned, because we have some tips, some strategies that will help you today to accomplish all those things that you're trying to juggle, right? And especially your dreams now. Don't put your dreams on the back burner. But before we go into the questions, I'd like to, anyway, let me just have Paul take it off from here. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Greetings, everyone. I know we've been gone for a little bit, but we're so happy to be back with you here today. We thank you for joining us. And like John said, we're going to share some ideas, strategies that have worked for us and that can work for Sharon as well as anyone out there that may have this challenge. Again, it's about balancing parenthood, busy professional life, outside aspirations. That can be challenging. It can be challenging, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. So we have some hope. There is hope, folks. There is hope. There is hope out there, Sharon. Okay. All right. Before I dive into some strategies to help Sharon and others facing this situation or similar situations, let me start by saying that we each have 24 hours in a day, folks.
Mhm.
Right? And how we allocate those 24 hours determines the outcome of our lives. Think about it, folks. We sleep for 8 hours, right? No, that's what they say. Sleep for 8 hours. If you have a job, then you work for 8 hours. Then you
Mhm.
have some you have eight other hours, not extra, 8 other hours that are, we call them free time or spare time, right? In our world, we call that opportunity time.
Yep.
It's your opportunity time. What we do, folks, with that opportunity time determines the outcome of our life. We can choose to, we can choose our manager, right? Most people use a portion of it to, to rest and relax, to do that, and then the rest can use to invest in the side hustle or whatever the case might be.
Mhm.
When you get down to it, folks, it's how you locate that period of time. It's how you locate time. That's what determines, the outcome. Uh, that's what determines the outcome. So for some people, folks, they may not sleep for 8 hours. They may sleep for say 6 hours, and they have 2 more hours they can add to the opportunity time. All right,
Mm.
and in fact, they're creating more time for themselves by doing this. So it depends on how you look at time. You know, like I said, anyone who does not have enough time in the day can engage in a side hustle based on how they allocate the free time or opportunity time. In this case, it can certainly help them. Right. Now, let me talk about some strategies that could help Sharon and anyone else out there. You want to prioritize ruthlessly your day and your
Mm.
tasks. You want to identify your top priorities across all areas of your life: work, family, side hustle, personal growth, whatever it is. But list them out from top to bottom, from most important to least important, and then focus on tasks at hand. That's one way that will help you. You want to also use a principle, time blocking. Time block your schedule. Dedicate specific times for work, for sleep, for family, for vocation.
Mm.
Down the order. Remember that again. You only have 24 hours. You have 24 hours. How you locate those 24 hours matters a lot. You also want to do. You want to embrace micro habits. You may not have a full 30 minutes to do something, but what can you do in 10? What can you do in 15? It may be reading. It may be doing some respond to email. It may be respond to some things you can do. So you want to do micro tasks along the way. Split your days in 15, 10, 15 minute chunks so you can then do your tasks. Delegate and outsource is another thing you might want to consider, Sharon. You want to delegate tasks that you may not necessarily be the best at. Sometimes we do that as entrepreneurs. We get involved, want to do everything, right? We want to do everything. It's all us. But is that the best use of our time, though? The limited time we have? Because time, as we all know, is a limited resource. How we allocate it matters. So it may help us to delegate some of those tasks that are not things that are a strong suit, that someone else could do for less time, and then we use that time to do something else.
Yeah, Paul, let me just jump in here even before you go on to the next strategy. Um, I have to say that delegating or outsourcing or whatever you want to call it has really helped us a lot in our business. I was so happy. We were away for a conference. I walked into the office and I saw all the Christmas gifts for our clients were ready and caregivers were ready. I was like, wow. Before I used to do all of that, right? We remember we used to do all of that, but then we delegated that task to some other managers, and it's freed up some time for us to
Yes.
focus on other things. Not that we're not capable or we're not the best at doing that. So you don't want to focus just on the things that you are not ex- an expert at, or you feel like you know it all. Okay, some of those little things that you can delegate because they will free you up. You'll free up an extra hour, an extra
Hmm.
or 2 hours that you can focus on your priorities, like Paul mentioned earlier. So I just wanted to
That,
drop
that's
that in.
it's a good point. It's a good point. And that's time you've created for that. Again, that's going to add to your opportunity time we're talking
That's
about, right?
right.
It adds to that. The other thing you want to do also, you want to combine activities, folks. Find creative ways to combine activities. For me, I love to listen to podcasts. I love to listen to motivational material online. So what I do is when I'm going out on my workout in the morning, I'm listening to that information, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to I'm able to do some thinking while I'm out there walking out. So you combine activities, it frees up your time, right? It
Yep.
does free up your time.
Yep.
Another important strategy to use is set boundaries. Set boundaries, Sharon. Learn to say no to requests for your request of commitments that don't align with your priorities.
Mm.
That's a big one for some people.
Yeah, it can be challenging for some of us.
Yes, yes. You want to please everyone, but at the end of the day, what's happening to your priorities though? How's that moving the needle in your favor in the process? If it's not, you gotta say no. You gotta say no. It's best to say it's best to say no. It's best to say no rather than to just to accept something and then put yourself in a situation where you cannot meet up.
Hmm.
Okay, I think
Hmm.
one point.
Okay.
So
You have one more to say?
yes.
Okay.
So and so it's important to again say no to things that don't align with your priorities. It's really critical. Okay. You also want to make self. One of the things I suggest is make self care non-negotiable.
Hmm.
Make self care non-negotiable. Folks, you gotta take care of yourself. Make time for yourself. Make time to go there, exercise, to spend some quiet time, to reflect on what you're after. Make time to to relax. It's going to make a world of difference for you out there. Because again, you cannot pour an empty cup.
Absolutely.
You can't. One other point I'll share with you, Sharon, and everyone else out there is focus. You want to try to get focus into whatever you're doing. When you're at work, work. When you're at home, be at home.
Mm.
When you're on your side hustle, be on your side hustle. Focus is extremely important. A lot of us, what happens is that we're so distracted with a lot going on that we cannot focus on the job at hand, be that at work, home, side hustle, or otherwise. In fact, we get so busy that sometimes we can't even go to sleep. Right? Well, you're in bed, but you're not sleeping. The mind is working, or you think about something else. So it's important for us to instead focus in our daily lives where whatever we're doing, we can give attention to what we're doing. That'll get us further along the way.
Yeah, one
Pass it to Joe.
one tip I'd like to add to that, to encourage you with the focus, to help you maintain focus is sometimes you have to turn off notifications on your devices. They
That's
can
good.
be
That's a good.
really distracting. You're sitting at work, maybe you have WhatsApp or your work PC or your iPhone or yourself, whatever device you have, and those notifications keep popping up. They're very distracting. So that may be a tip if you want to, try that. I'd like to add a few more points to what Paul has already said. We want to stay flexible. Okay, we want to stay flexible. Life can be unpredictable,
Yeah.
especially when you have young ones, or even if you don't have young ones, things happen in life.
Hmm.
Accept that perfection perfection isn't a goal. I know I've had to work on that a lot, because I always like perfection. I like excellence, right? But sometimes we have to make do with what we have to get the needle moving, to move the needle, actually. So we want to stay flexible and just celebrate every little win that we make. In Were you going to say
That's a good
something?
point.
Yeah,
But no, it's a good point, John. I want to just add that you don't want to make perfection be the enemy of progress.
that's right.
Right?
That's
You
right.
don't want to make perfection be the enemy of progress, where you still focus on getting it done perfectly that
Hmm.
you never even get started.
That's right.
Some of us do that, right?
Hmm.
But that's key. Again, make a move. Make even when you're in, make a move. You can always course correct
Course
along the way.
correct along the way.
That's a big thing. You don't want to wait till you're perfect because guess what? By the time you're perfect, the conditions would have changed.
So true. So true. So one more point to add is to go back and evaluate,
Hmm.
reassess. Many times we set goals, we just keep going. I know this is the time to be setting goals for next year, 2025, and we just keep going, right? But we don't take the time to, just take some time to reassess our progress. What is going right, what is not going right, and like Paul said, course correct. So it's very important to take the time, allocate time, whether it's every week or every few weeks or a month, on a monthly basis, and revisit your priorities,
Yep.
because things will change, right?
Yeah.
Maybe those
And
kids have
they do change.
that's right, those kids have grown up, they've gone off to college.
Hmm.
Now you have even more time, so you have to reprioritize your time, or your tasks, your goals, everything that you are juggling. So it's very important to do that regularly, reassess all those priorities. All
Absolutely.
right. If you would like us to help you, you know craft a schedule that will work for you. We're very much available to do so.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're all um, out here to help you succeed, to go from where you are today to where you would like to be.
Yeah.
All right. Ask yourself this: is the way that I'm using my time now, is that the best way to spend my time? Okay. Am I being distracted, scrolling on every Facebook post, on WhatsApp, on all of that? Think about it. All right. Think about it. And then make sure that your actions are aligned with your goals. Okay.
I was just going to add, Joan. Also,
Mhm.
those are good points, by the way. I was going to add, like Joan talked about, folks. Think about what you're thinking about. Think about what you're thinking about, folks. And remember, folks, if what you're doing, the activities you're engaging, are not moving you closer to where you want to be,
Yeah,
you got to course correct. You got to change, right?
absolutely.
I mean, we don't want to be, remember what it said about the definition of insanity, right? You keep doing the same thing, but you expect a different result. It ain't gonna happen, folks.
Mhm.
It's not gonna happen, right? So it's important, like John said, to reassess things. Maybe on a weekly basis or every 2 weeks. It's best to do on a weekly basis so you can catch it before it spirals out of control. So
Mhm.
maybe on a weekly basis, end of the week, look at where you are. I mean, some folks do it end of the day. They look at the situation end of the day before they go to bed. This is what I've accomplished. This is what I have to work on tomorrow, and they go from there. But set, what like this, I think we've all heard this saying: what gets measured gets done.
Managed,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
gets
Yeah,
managed, and it
exactly.
gets done.
It gets done. Yeah. So it's important to regular checkup, you know,
Mhm.
and then go from there. Folks, again, we hope you've enjoyed this session with us here today. We're delighted to be here. If you need more, like Joan talked about, if we can help you in any way, shape, or fashion, reach out to us. We're at support@premierdestiny.com. We also encourage you to hop on our website, premierdestiny.com, where you're going to see more of this material on there as we put it out there to serve and help folks out there who are looking to better themselves. Because, like John said, we believe in abundance, folks. We believe in abundance. It's out there, it's available to all of us out there. Take advantage of it. So, until next time, make it a fantastic and a productive day.
Yes, life is good, so make the best of it, right? Go for it. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye now.